Hi YouTube, this is Darkon633 and we're back with another Transformers review. This time we're going to take a look at Autobot Twinferno, also known as Doublecross in the G1 cartoon and toy line, along with his Titan Master partner Daburu. Daburu is actually pretty cool because Daburu is pretty much an homage to the G1 battle line, if I remember correctly that's his name, of the battle beasts that were actually released inside American shores, but not exactly Battle Lion himself. The particular toy was never released stateside, so it's nice to see any representation of that particular character, even if it's just an homage. Anyways, we'll take a look at the box. The box is in the standard Titan Returns Deluxe scale box, and it's pretty cool. It has him in his beast mode, and shows that he transfers in 16 steps, bio, and the usual cross promotions. So here is Autobot Twinferno in his robot mode. First, we're going to take a look at the character card. It has pretty good stats, and it's just another cool thing that the set comes with. And he does include this double-barrel blaster, which can actually open up and split into two parts. You can actually take the head, if you wish to, transform it into his Titan Master form, which we'll now take a quick look at Daburu more closely. So he does look really nice. He does have the eye patch, although none of it's really painted. It's all just sculpted plastic. You can make him sit in the blaster if you wish to. So that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, my particular copy of the toy does have a QC problem, and I'm not sure if that's going to be the same throughout all copies of the figure. But the way that the particular blasters can fit in his hands caused a stress mark right here on the hand itself. And I think that's really annoying that the pegs that hold onto the area is just way too tight, which causes it to become stressed, and that's really annoying. Otherwise, I think it looks really nice in his hands. And I think a pretty nice job, especially since you can pull that kind of pose, and I think that's really cool. But you can actually also store the guns in another part of the toy, which is actually his shoulders. What you're going to do is take some of the pegs that are on the actual gun itself, and you're actually going to peg it onto the shoulder joints here. So we're just going to quickly do that on both sides. So it looks like that. Going to do the same for the other side. And I think that's kind of cool that at least gives you a few options to actually display the figure in different ways with the guns. So now we're just going to take the gun out to the side and go on to the articulation points. Just quickly going ahead and look at the head. The head is on the standard double ball joint, one being on the actual head itself and attached to the little peg there, so it just uses that same joint, so that's really cool. Can look up and down slightly and looks left and right like normal. The wings are kind of articulated, but it's not really articulation point. The shoulders can swivel, has outward movement. It does have swivels at the biceps, single joint at the elbow, and the mouths can open and close, which are really nice. He does not have any waist articulation, but he does have some pretty decent hip articulation. Swivels at the thighs, more than 90 degrees at the knees for transformation. Swivels at the foot, but he does include some kind of pivot, so that's really nice. I think Hasbro did a pretty good job with the articulation. As a comparison, here he is next to the G1 counterpart, and while the G1 counterpart is almost towards a Voyager scale, I think he transitioned pretty nicely into the Deluxe scale here. Transformation is pretty interesting, and has some cool things going on for it. We're going to remove the head, and these will unpeg, which are kind of tight on mine, so let's just quickly go through that. This side's a little harder to actually attach. Next, what we're going to do is make sure that the wings are out of the way so that they won't cause problems during transformation. We're going to turn these pieces and open up the legs. Since these will form the beast legs, we're now going to lay them flat. So now they are in full leg mode there. We're going to unpeg these after we move the little tail pieces off to the side. So for now we got something that looks, for some reason this side's a little tight on mine today. We're going to work on it, so it looks like this. We're going to collapse the legs like so. So it does have some reminiscent of another transformation, but I can't think of it exactly on top of my head. You collapse the tail pieces together and they peg together. Unfortunately, mine doesn't like to secure that well, so it does kind of flap into places. And what you're going to do is kind of put this in a slant, and then these will peg over. Put it on the wrong side, actually. It looks something like this. I haven't really found a good way to secure the back legs, but it looks something like this when you actually attach it. We're going to turn the legs down. Turn this entire piece upward and make sure that the red pieces actually form into the peg there. And they'll peg in, which can be a little bit tricky. But if you get them in the right position, they should be able to peg in. So it looks like that. We're going to turn the heads. Turn his hands. And now we got out of a Twinferno into his beast mode. So overall, I think Hasbro did a pretty good job in designing the beast mode. It's pretty reminiscent of his G1 counterpart. We're just going to quickly transfer in the G1 toy off screen to make a short comparison. And while the modes are pretty reminiscent of each other, this one has a lot more going for it in some cases, but the overall look, I kind of prefer the G1 design, since it's got a lot less of a problem with this really big chest area, and I think it looks really awkward. Mostly it's like this is because this particular compartment can open up and you can actually place Doublecross inside of his chest compartment. So that's kind of cool that you can actually do that. But it does cause a problem for the actual chest component to look really big, and it looks just kind of awkward in some positions. Another thing is that this toy obviously featured the spark gimmick, but this toy, while it doesn't have it, has cleverly designed a little gear area to make it look like an homage to that particular gimmick. Other than that, it's still pretty close to its G1 counterpart. You can actually take the gun, and similar to what I've shown at the beginning of the video, you can just plug this back together and place it onto his back like a back cannon, which I'm just going to quickly do right now. So it looks something like this. So we'll peg into the back wings. So now you got him armed up in beast mode as well, so that's pretty cool. Articulation wise, it uses the same joint for his arms, since the arms are the parts that form his head. And they do have the ability to open still in this mode, so that looks really nice. It does have ball joints at the shoulders, but no other articulation points in the dragon arms. It does have swivels at the legs, but unfortunately I still have not been able to really secure the leg pieces so they kind of flop around, and that's kind of disappointing. You can kind of move it outwards, but obviously it doesn't really have a good stable way of using that particular joint. It does have this inner joint where you can move it backwards, and the feet can kind of pivot as well, but that's about it for articulation of this mode. And while it looks nice, it's got a lot of problems in my personal opinion. I think this is still a fantastic figure, regardless of the fact it does have a few minor problems here and there. It's pretty accurate to the G1 design in all aspects, in both the Dragon mode and the Robot mode. And even though he does become a Headmaster, what's cool is that the particular character from Headmaster was actually someone who actually goes alongside Doublecross, at least from what I've seen within the G1 cartoon. So that's cool that we actually have a nod here as well. And because it turns into a dragon, it's really not that bad that you can turn him into a head, since it looks like he's able to fight alongside of his friend into combat. So I think this is a really fun figure to play around with, and I highly recommend picking this up if you happen to find it. Anyways, please comment, subscribe, and check out Hero Club and Hero Taku. Also check out Twitter to Darkon633, and don't forget to check down the other channels down below. I'll be back with more Transformers reviews and more, and I'll be seeing you too. Bye.